and showing consistency in that
Okay,
data.
but I understand that all estimates will have been difficult to make. I'm just still trying to clarify. So you are now saying that you did ask for a number of people, an estimate for the number of people coming into the country with coronavirus.
Not just a number, but a percentage, an approximate percentage.
Did you ask for a number though? Did you ask for the number of people? In addition to the percentage, you asked for the number of people.
Numbers and percentage. Because I wanted to know whether we therefore needed, if we recall, as I said last time round, whether or not we needed to introduce health measures at the border because of the potential threat of people coming in and a significant number, and asking for those numbers was the right thing to do.
Okay, I'm pressing this because we're wanting to quote some of this evidence in our forthcoming report. So can I then just clarify with Shona Dunn, because Shona Dunn told us when we raised this with her in the last evidence session, asked specifically, was an estimate of the number of people coming into the country with coronavirus produced, and Shona Dunn, you said, I do not believe that anyone has asked for that number to be pinned down. The Home Secretary is saying she did ask for that number to be pinned down. Was your previous evidence inaccurate?
So, Chair, as the Home Secretary says, she's asked for a whole variety of numbers on many occasions as she's
scrutinised. Yes, for that specific number.
She's asked for a variety of numbers and evidence from our Chief Scientific Advisor on a number of occasions to make sure she could pin down the specifics of the position. And as Professor Aston has made clear on a number of occasions.
Not an answer to my question, is it?
The reliable position is the 0.5%.
I know, I understand your attachment. I understand your attachment to the 0.5%. I'm just trying to make sure that we're not factually inaccurate when we respond to the things that you've been doing. I'm still trying to clarify. You told us that nobody had ever asked for an assessment of the number of people with coronavirus coming into the country during March.
Chair, as you say, I think what I said was I was not aware of anyone having asked for a formal assessment. The Home Secretary has said that she has asked for a variety of numbers, and I entirely concur that she didn't ask for a variety of numbers.
But she didn't. But neither she nor you.
I was not aware that there was a formal assessment.
Okay, so neither she nor you asked for a formal assessment of the number of cases of people coming into the country with coronavirus.
That information has been requested from SAGE, and what returned was the 0.5 figure, Chair, which is the 0.5 figure we keep returning to.
So you did ask for that number.
And most rely on.
Okay, we're going round in circles here. You did ask for that number then.
We have asked for an assessment from SAGE, and the number that SAGE felt comfortable giving us was the 0.5 figure.
But did you ask for the number?
So there have been a variety of conversations with SAGE.
Okay, so it sounds odd.
This is, and that is the assessment that they have given us. The Home Secretary has asked for a variety of numbers as she scrutinised this.
Okay, all I'm asking for is factual information. Okay, let's go into for the current date, for now, for figures in July. Has anybody asked for an assessment of the number of people coming into the country in July with coronavirus, and what is that estimate?
Chair, is that to me still?
I'll start with the Home Secretary. I'll come back to you if you have a different answer.
The answer is yes, because we do have that data. We will have that assessment of people. We do have that data because we still see on a regular basis the number of people coming into the country. Now, you're specifically asking for the assessment of people with coronavirus in July. We will have a number on that. Now,
got an estimate, so you have started asking for those figures now. So you have got some estimates being done.
We've been asking this consistently because we see on a daily basis internally in the UK the prevalence of number of people in the UK with coronavirus. That equally applies to the number of people that are coming in from outside of the UK.
So of the 50,000 people currently coming in that you referred to into the UK, what is the government's current estimate of how many of them are likely to be carrying coronavirus?
Well, the estimate, and officials are clear about the estimate on this, and the estimate being the only reliable estimate based on their data sets, is 0.5, and that is the figure that they are considering.
Still, for July?
Clarity on that, that is effectively what I have been presented with in terms of the figure that they are saying is reliable.
But that was a
And
figure for the 23rd of March. That was a figure for the 23rd of March as a percentage of the number of cases in the country. What is the figure for now, today, in July, when we've got different quarantine arrangements in place that presumably are based on some evidence? What is your figure for now? Of that 50,000, what's the government's estimate about the number of those people who are likely to be carrying coronavirus and thereby presumably justifying the quarantine arrangements you have in place?
Well, I have just told you the figure that I have been given as the only reliable estimate. We will ask for that to come to you in writing from a government scientific advisor.
Have you really not had an updated figure since 23rd of March?
No, we have updated figures every day.
So how come the only figure that you've got in your briefing is 0.5%, which is the figure from the 23rd of March?
Based on the data sets that the scientific advisors in government are using.
Okay, can I just ask then, to ask Matthew Rycroft and Shona Dunn, why does the Home Secretary's briefing papers only have a figure from the 23rd of March? Why has she not been given a more up-to-date assessment of the number of cases of coronavirus or the proportion of cases of coronavirus coming into the country?
If I can come in, Chair, the Home Secretary, as she said, has asked and received continually updated estimates of the proportion of cases in the UK that come in from overseas, and that number continues to be up to 0.5%. So
Okay,
it's a refreshed number. It happens to be the same upper limit as the number from the 23rd of March,
Okay.
but it is a refreshed advice from stage.
And that's still an assessment of the number of cases in the country. What about the number of cases coming into the country as a proportion of the number of cases arriving at the border? Have you ever had that figure? Mr. Rycroft?
I think that the number that, well, I have nothing further to add to what the Home Secretary and the Second Home Secretary said.
Okay. Well, it is just quite troubling that it seems that none of you are able to explain just an assessment of the number of people likely to be coming into the country with coronavirus, or the proportion of the 50,000. We just ask you then just one final question. Scientists are now saying that between 1,300 and 10,000 cases of coronavirus came into the country from mainly Spain and Italy in March, during that period where you weren't asking how many people were coming, and during that period where you didn't have any quarantine arrangements in place, and also saying that those figures hugely sped up the epidemic. Do you now regret not having quarantine arrangements in place in March?
Well, first of all, I did ask questions and I did have numbers, as did everybody in government. And secondly, in terms of the measures that were being put in place at the border, we were following the advice, and rightly so, from government advisors. And it was deemed back in March in particular, if you recall, on the 13th of March, that the stay-at-home guidance was more effective than previously issued country-specific advice. And that has been confirmed by our scientific advisor and by SAGE.
I understand that that was the advice you were given at the time, but now in retrospect, those same scientists or similar scientists and advisors to SAGE are saying between 1,300 and 10,000 cases of coronavirus came into the country during that period around March, when you had no quarantine arrangements in place. So do you now regret not having quarantine arrangements in place in March?
Well, hindsight is a wonderful thing, but we were following the advice at the time, and I think that is absolutely the right thing to do. And that wasn't just from the Home Office's perspective, this was cross-government. That was in consultation with not just SAGE, but the Department of Transport, the Department of Health, and every other government department. And if you recall rightly, and I was involved in these meetings at COBRA involving cross-government and the DAs.
Fine, and other countries were obviously doing something very different, so you don't regret not following other countries?
Well, we have to do what we feel was right for our own country.
Thank you very much.
And for other countries. And if you look at other countries like the United States and Italy, their approach obviously does not actually reduce the numbers of COVID going into their country or getting their own domestic down.
Thank you, Chair.